Well, good afternoon, everyone, and thanks so much for joining our webinar. I'm Hannah DeCapelle. I'm the project manager for ODOT Safe Routes to School Technical Assistance Provider team. There's a lot of changes and new exciting news in the statewide Safe Routes to School world. And there's a lot of new offerings and new ways for accessing them. And so we're really excited today to share with you the new Oregon Safe Routes to School Regional Hub model. And we will introduce you to the lead folks working on each of the hubs. And then starting in July, we'll be reinforcing the model with starting our meetings. So our goal with this new model, we really want to expand statewide Safe Routes to School resources and technical assistance. There's been such great growth in Safe Routes to School that it's just too much for a single individual or organization to manage. And so we are launching this hub model as a way of having like a one-stop shop for whether you're interested in planning assistance or construction program or getting swag for walk and roll or finding out how to do fun new activities to engage your groups. There is now going to be one person that you'll be able to talk to, and they'll know kind of everything that there is to know about what the state has to offer in that realm, or they can connect you to the right people. So if you can go to the next, I have control. So today's learning objectives, and I want to acknowledge a lot of folks on the call have probably heard a variation of this presentation. We've been kind of going around to our existing Safe Routes to School groups with similar dog and pony shows, and we presented to the Travel Options Group of Oregon a couple weeks ago now. And each time we're kind of learning a little bit more about how we talk about the hubs, how folks can engage with the hubs, and how folks will be able to plug into them. So today we really want to talk about specifically how can you all take advantage of this resource? How are we reinforcing the structure? What can you get out of it? And throughout this whole process, we welcome any of your feedback from anyone as we, today, as we set this up, and then also as we're proceeding with this new model. Everything's kind of a pilot in our world in Safe Routes. We're always trying to do better. We're always trying to learn from what we've done in the past. So certainly, please think about any hopes and dreams you have of this new model or fears, and communicate that with your hub leads as we go into that portion of the meeting. And then we'll ask for feedback probably at the end of the year after we've tried this out for a little while. So we're going to we have a brief presentation to introduce you to the hub model and how to engage with it and some of the other offerings we have at the statewide level. And then we're going to move into breakout sessions, and you will meet with your hub lead and other participants within your hub and have that opportunity to have a conversation and ask questions and share your thoughts. So first, I'd love to introduce you to our wonderful hub leads. You'll hear from each of them in this brief presentation. So Kaylin, Emily, and Lindsay will each be your one-stop shop for all of those Safe Routes to School related questions based on where you are in the state. We'll be coordinating really closely among the three organizations on our team. And so, you can reach out to any of us, but really, we're going to encourage you to work through the specific person who's the lead for your area. As I said earlier, one of the things we're really trying to accomplish with this new model is to have a basis that will be easy to grow. So as there's, we may discover that one of the hubs it has a lot of people and it's maybe too unwieldy, and it makes sense to have a smaller group, and we can morph it into two of them in the future. Or, this is really the basis of trying to set up a program that can be grown as we continue growing and cultivating Safe Routes to Schools in our state. I'm going to pass it on to Kaylin from Alta, who will give us some history and context of how we got here and what other changes are occurring at the statewide level.
Thanks, Hannah. Yeah, I hope you all are able to stay cool or find a place to stay cool in the coming days. So as Hannah said, my name is Kaylin Henley. I use she or they pronouns. And before we dive into the details of the regional hub approach that Emily and Lindsay will walk us through, I want to kind of go over how we got here. So last year and earlier this year, the ODOT Safe Routes to School team, we conducted a strategic needs assessment. And this needs assessment, it's actually now in draft form on online. You can see the website on your screen. It's online for feedback. it defines a shared vision and goals for the ODOT Safe Routes to School program. It provides a policy direction and guidance for working with partners to continue to grow safe routes throughout Oregon. This document kind of does three main things. So it envisions a new model which will increase or grow transparency even more and be more accessible to practitioners across the state. It outlines actions to build capacity of practitioners and to increase safe routes to school efforts across the state, and further supports the work that's already being done locally. There's so much good stuff happening. So the feedback gathered for the strategic needs assessment supported a regional hub model where the ODOT Safe Routes to School team, the technical assistance partners, will provide regional specific support and help to channel resources by region. Next slide, please. As a part of the strategic needs assessment, numerous equity-focused efforts and actions emerged from it, and that includes a power analysis, priority outreach and engagement plans, social equity trainings and webinars for Safe Routes to School practitioners, and advancements to the program's Spanish language offerings. So that includes a Spanish language Safe Routes to School glossary and webpage, and then also a focused approach for improving inclusion and accessibility in program offerings. And I want to just kind of jump back up to the power analysis. So just to kind of give some context around that one, that will provide insight into which communities, what populations, and methods for how the program can conduct intentional engagement to build interest and capacity in safe routes. And then that will guide the priority outreach and engagement plan that's really grounded in that power analysis. Next slide, please. So efforts specific to bike and pedestrian safety education efforts will focus on advancing two things. So the conducting a needs assessment for specifically to bike and ped education efforts. So that will include an educator survey, interviews of bike safety educators and experts, and then recommendations for purchasing and lending pedestrian education supplies and bike fleets. And then there's a component about finalizing that neighborhood navigator program, which is really cool. You know, there's a feedback form also online launched during the pandemic. So finalizing that curriculum and providing outreach resources. So that includes holding 2 pilot train the trainer sessions and soliciting feedback on those for the neighborhood navigator program or curriculum, transcreating materials for students and family communications, and then integrating modification guidance for educators on inclusion, class length, and then maybe based on rural, suburban, and rural, urban, and suburban, a little tongue twisted here, settings. So with that quick overview, I'm going to turn it over to Emily Dugan at Commute Options to tell us more.
Thank you so much, Kaylin. So another big part of this restructuring in this hub model is really looking at how we're communicating with one another and trying to improve those communication channels so that we're involved and informed about everything that's happening statewide. So there's a few updates that we are coming up with right now. First is that there's going to be an info@ email address for Oregon Safe Routes to School. So if there's an inquiry coming up from someone that wants to do something in their area, then that comes directly to someone and we know who to funnel it to. Next, we're updating our newsletter. So please subscribe to our newsletter. You can go to the Oregon Safe Routes to School website and subscribe there. And each month we're doing a celebration station. So that would be celebrating some cool promotion that a coordinator has put on, an awesome infrastructure project that's getting completed. And so we really just want to promote those things. So if you're doing something cool, tell us. If not, I'll probably be reaching out to you because I'll hear about it and want to learn more. So just get ready for that. On that same note too, we're really trying to up our involvement with social media. Another hokey call out, please follow us on social media. The Instagram is Oregon Safe Routes, at Oregon Safe Routes, and then our Facebook page is Oregon Safe Routes to School. And again, there too, we're just going to be promoting events and things that are going on, letting the general public know what's going on, but also to connecting you as coordinators to meetings like this. And again, doing more celebrations of the cool things that are happening around Oregon. And then next too, we're also developing grantee toolkits. There's already some on the website, as you can see. If you go to Oregon Safe Routes and go to resources, to guides or to toolkits, you can find some of these already. But we're really trying to focus on monthly themes and tips and things that you can use for low cost, low staff involvement. Just implement those in your Safe Routes program. All right, next slide. Oh, there we go. And this is just an example of some of those kind of monthly safety tips. I want to highlight too also that most of our tips are already in Spanish, but we will be updating those too so that there will be both English and Spanish. And then from that power analysis too, looking for different languages that are also need to be translated into. So perfect. Next slide. And then too, we're really revamping our resources. So the website is getting a big refresh just to make it easier for people to access things, to navigate, and just get the resources that they need. We're also stepping up our recognition level program. If you don't know a lot about that, I recommend definitely going and checking it out on the website. It's something that Lindsay from Street Trust runs, so it's really an awesome program. And we're integrating that with the walk and roll events so that you're going to get more recognition for putting on those types of events, and so will your participants. Another pokey call out, please download our incentives and our toolkits. You can order those through the website and we'll be distributing those. We're also too creating copy for outreach materials. So this is things like posters, flyers, incentives, and newsletter copy. So if you want to implement those on your own, into your own toolkits, you can do that as well. And I think that's all I have. So I'm going to turn it over to Lindsay at Street Trust.
Thanks, Emily. All right, so these are some different ways that you will be able to engage with us moving forward. So some of these are things that you know already, like we will continue doing the annual Safe Routes to School meetings. And then some of these may be new, like we're going to have the quarterly Safe Routes to School practitioner training webinars. We're going to have monthly statewide Safe Routes to School practitioner meetings. And then we're going to have the group forum, which has been the network. So next slide. These are the actual hubs. So we've been talking a little bit about, you know, the different hubs that are coming. This is the map that you can use to figure out which hub you are in. So the different hubs are the Portland Metro and Region 1, which is the one that I will be helping out. So versus we've been having Portland regional meetings, this will go a little bit further out. And then the Willamette Valley and Coast area will be led by Alta Planning and Design staff. And that one you can see on there is that whole green area. And then we have Central, Eastern, and Southern Oregon, which will all be together helped by commute option staff. So next slide. So these regional hubs will be having, as I said, those monthly hub meetings and then office hours as well, outreach to new communities that we're going to be identifying through the different power analysis projects going on. We'll be connecting those practitioners to various resources and providing them technical assistance. We'll have about 10 hours or so of technical assistance every week to be able to help out with all sorts of projects. We'll be supporting implementing your walk and roll events. Again, as we were just saying, sharing out those success stories. So we might be helping you ghostwrite articles and then amplify any cool projects and different things going on in your area. Supporting the bike and pedestrian education, train the trainer programs. And then we will be helping with the assistance for the education grant applications that will be coming in spring 2022. Next slide, please. Okay, so this is the schedule of the meetings that are coming up. So every month we will have the trainings and webinars. So they will be recorded and posted to the website just in case, you know, you can't make one or you want to go back to one and check it out again. 4 of them will be social equity focused. One is going to be our annual meeting, which we will continue linking up with the Oregon Active Transportation Summit in the spring. We're canceling December and July because we know a lot of people are busy or out of town then. And then for the meetings, every month they're going to alternate between the general regional hub meetings and then also doing office hours and then the statewide meetings as well. I also want to mention that the next webinar that we've got coming up is going to be the Back to School Commutes webinar that's going to be scheduled for July 20th. That one's geared towards school districts, but it's going to have useful info for a wide array of Safe Routes to School practitioner audiences. So make sure if you haven't signed up for the Safe Routes to School newsletter yet that you go do so that you can get the info when all the signups open for that. And with that, I'm handing it back over to Hannah.
Thank you, Lindsay. Thank you, everyone. Actually, just quickly on the schedule of meetings, I know there's a lot of information here, but sort of the takeaway is that every month we'll be inviting you to a training or webinar, which is going to be more sort of, information provided to you with some discussion time, and then a meeting or office hours, which will be more of a like sharing around with other practitioners. So if you want to engage with us, all of the meetings are optional, but there will be 2 hours basically of content that you'll be invited to every month, with the exception of the December and July. So I know there's a lot of information here, but we're trying to simplify it. And as we, start inviting you to things, it'll be a recurring meeting that you can join us or not. So then just to wrap up the presentation, some of the things so what we've been describing are really what we're going to be working on like this summer and the fall. So very quickly, we're getting all of these things underway. In the meantime, we're working on some longer term things that we wanted to share as well that we're really excited about. One big thing is purchasing loaner bike fleets that would be available through the hub. So you would work with your hub lead to borrow the bikes and or get train-the-trainer assistance to do neighborhood navigators. But we've heard that access to bikes is a big barrier for a lot of programs. So we're working, or really ODOT's working on finding the funding to purchase bikes. We're also looking at ways of having small funding, like stipends or sponsorships that would support these like kind of one-off events or great new ideas that folks have. We've been talking about kind of reassessing the education grant, the competitive grant, because we've heard that the 3-year rolling grant or the 3-year grant is pretty inaccessible to a lot of communities. They either get it or they don't get it, and it can be challenging for communities that don't have that funding and who want to engage with Safe Routes. So we're looking for ways that we can support communities that maybe don't have a full 3-year grant. We are talking about other sort of direct education that we might be able to provide that we would coordinate through the hub, the planning assistance like Lindsay mentioned. And then, like I said at the beginning, like our goal down the road is that there may be a separate hub for like the North Coast and the South Coast and the commute options north or the area is very large, and so perhaps there would be multiple hubs there. And we really want to use this as an opportunity to cultivate new partners, bring them into the fold, identify new groups that do Safe Routes to School or might do Safe Routes to School implementation, and maybe have them join the team and administer Safe Routes through ODOT Safe Routes. So one of the things that we want to talk about as we move into these breakout sessions is, are there existing groups that we should start talking to for that longer term thinking? So with all of that, I'm going to stop the share because I can't actually see any questions. But please feel free to, if you have any questions, we'll pause for a minute before we move into the breakout sessions. We're actually not planning on coming back all together after the sessions, but you can also ask questions in those breakouts. Well, I'm not seeing any questions, so I will go ahead and the next part of the meeting, we want to give you a chance to meet with your hub lead and the other practitioners that are in your region. We have some conversation prompts ready and specific questions that we want to ask for each of the hubs and setting up those meetings and all of that. And like I said, we're not planning on reconvening after we go into the breakout sessions, but please feel free to reach out to me or your hub lead through the website or email us directly. And I will share my screen again so that you can see your hub group. And then Amanda's going to launch the hubs, and you will be able to self-select which hub you want to get into. So you should be able to now join your hub. Thanks, everybody.